We are living in an artificially induced state of consciousness that resembles sleep. The movement was begun by a scientist who discovered, quite by accident, these signals being sent. We have been lulled into a trance. Please understand, they are safe as long as they are not discovered.
They want their weapons.
Look out for Charlie.
I want that son of a bitch dead. I want him dead.
I've been really busy. I wanted to put out a video, 10 things that I wanted to put videos out about. And I haven't been able to do it, so now I'm all backed up. And I want to do 10 at once, and I can't, so I got to pick something. So anyway, I've talked about in the past how, you know, when you come into contact with older things that you haven't touched in a while, a box of old stuff or old clothes that have been packed away or whatever, you can start to get symptoms again, itching or burning or twitching or numbness or tingling or whatever. And on your face, your hands, you know, your neck, whatever's exposed. And I was out in the garage a few days ago going through some stuff, and I started to get it on my hands, itching and tingling. And then almost instantaneously I had this open sore on my wrist. And instead of losing the evidence, I started using Scotch tape and hitting it until I could get this center piece that almost looked like a little black dot out of my skin. And I got it, and I want to show you what it looks like. So this isn't it. This is an example of something that will come in later. What it is I call it the bug. And this goes into, you know, a lot of people that have Morgellons or Morgellons type symptoms. A lot of people think they have bugs, or they'll roll stuff off their skin and it rolls up, and then when they look at it under a microscope, you know, they think it's like an insect or a worm or, you know, whatever. And it's not. And you may have bugs and insects. I don't. You may have bugs and insects as a secondary condition because it can dig into this biofilm that builds up on people's skin. It can dig into that easily, and it could live in there, I imagine. But Morgellons and all these symptoms are not bugs. And I want to show you this. I call it the bug. It's very interesting. So here is the first picture of the bug. Now look at it. That is completely intentional, and it looks like a bug. Look at that. There's a black spot here, a open black spot here, and an open black spot here. And that looks like the pattern of a bug's belly. And the shape of it almost looks like a dead silverfish or something. Now, this was the area that was in my skin, that was stuck in my skin like a thorn, okay? And this was the end that was sticking out that I finally got out. Now this is really important to look at this and look at what it is, because this is intentional, and it does look like an insect, but it is not an insect. And I want to show you, I have way closer photos, stuff to check out. So this is not an insect, and I want to show you some close-up photos of this, and we can go through it and examine and see what it really is. Okay, this is the end part that was sticking in my skin. And if you look at it, it is nothing but fibers. It is made up of entirely the dust that people find in their house. That type of fiber. They grow like sticks, almost like plants. And same colors. You can see the blue speck here, and then the black, the clear, the white, and there's red in there as well, but they're buried at the center. So this is completely made up of fibers. It's like a seed. And I've caught these before, but I lost them. I lost the evidence. So this is the head, and it kind of resembles like an exploded piece of popcorn. And you can see that this is like a cellulose, and these are fibers coming out of it. And these are the things that Morgellons people are told that they're delusional about, that this doesn't exist, it's crazy. This came out of my skin. It didn't grow from my skin, though. That's the misconception. It's the misconception that makes people sound crazy, because it's the biofilm that this stuff grows in. So really examine. This is the best shot of this that I could get because it didn't want to focus on the white. But you can absolutely see that this is it's a growing object. It is growing. It's like a seed. So here is part of the body of the bug. And as you can see, when you get close to it, it's not a bug. These are fibers. Bunches and bunches of fibers together. So clearly, the black, the white fibers, the red, the blue, they all start from the same thing. And if you look at this, right here, if you look at the leg of the bug, which isn't a bug, you can see the little fungus growing on it. See the fungal spots? That is exactly how fungus grows, and that is exactly what fungus looks like. Exactly. So what is that? It's fungus. That is fungus. Completely. It may be GMO'd fungus, but it's fungus. And look at the weird short ones that are just starting to take off. They're like stubs. And the strange thing about this is, when people have this, their hair follicles are attacked. It attacks your hair goes clear. It's as if it takes your hair over, sucks the pigment out. The root of the hair always looks bulbous and strange, and it loses color. It's clear, destroyed. And then it starts to grow this stuff instead of hairs. They look exactly like this. And you will grow these instead of hairs. It's very bizarre. So here's a different photo of the body of the bug. And this is a little clearer here, so you can see what's going on. And if you look, you can clearly see the fungus stuff. And then you can see here where it's growing and splitting off like a plant. Then it's going to grow another one, and it breaks. And then when it gets on you or in you, then it starts to go at it. And I think these seeds that I found have a lot to do with this. And they're so small that people don't notice. They can't tell what it is. Now here's the pattern, again, close up of the stomach. And that's very strange because it's intentional. That is constructed that way. So it's got 3 black areas showing, and then through it the white tail. The head's exploded like fibrous popcorn, and then it has these bigger ones, tentacles coming off with these with this mold clearly on the inside of it. It's growing on the inside of these hairs, and that looks identical to what your hair follicles, the root of your hairs look like inside the hair follicles. Exactly looks like that, but usually wet and infected. And you can see the blue in that, which is strange because I've popped hairs out and put them under the microscope and found those blue fibers at the base of the hair, which seems impossible. Here is a different photo of the head. And even though the popcorn exploded area of the fibers, that may have just started growing as soon as it got into my skin, I'm not sure. But I like this photo because within it you can see the pink, red, pink, and then these smaller fibers that look like hairs. Now, when my house was sprayed, seemingly sprayed, with Mountain Dew, because that's what it looked like, it had these fibers in it everywhere. So for those of you that don't know, I came home years ago, woke up in the morning, and it looked like my entire living room and kitchen were misted with Mountain Dew, like a mist. It was all over the windows, all over everything. I've got photos of it somewhere. And the stuff on the windows, it literally looked like dried up Mountain Dew. It had a gold hue to it. But these fibers were also stuck to the glass everywhere. And they looked like a cross between hairs and fiberglass slivers, which is this stuff. Now here's a close-up of the midsection of the bug that made it look furry. And you can see the fibers, and then you can see within this new branch that's growing out, these thicker branches, the mold, these spores that are starting within it. So if you look close, you can see these spores. That's the real deal. This came right out of it, and it almost instantaneously started an open sore that hurt and itched at the same time. And this was it. This was the culprit. And I've seen these before, but this one was better. The other one got ripped up when I was taking it out because I was using tweezers and not tape. Now, one of the crazy parts about this is if you look at it, it almost looks like it has, the guts of a bug running through it. And then on its back here is different color cellulose. Like these are the clear ones on the back, and then these are the white ones in the front, and then the black. But it's mind-blowing. Like, what is this? Because it looks like a bug, but it is not a bug. It's entirely made up of fibers. There's no guts. There's no real legs. There's nothing. It's bizarre. It's like a real GMO. I took this one with a penny because I wanted you to understand how small this was. And this is from the other side. Now, this is crazy because this almost looks like a feather. Now, look how small that is and how careful you have to be to pull this out. But from this side, you can see it furry like a caterpillar almost. But through here, that is the thorn thing. It's like fiberglass that stuck in my skin and started this. So the body, the other body, is another mess of fibers that looks more like a damaged hair or a sliver of fiberglass. And that's exactly what it looks like. But it is small. That is the edge of a penny. And here's another one from the bug side. And what's crazy is when I was doing this, I grabbed a different penny to take this, and then noticed that this was growing. This stuff was already growing on this penny, or had already gotten on it. Not from the bug, just from daily life. So this shows you that this stuff is everywhere. This could have came from a gas station and was handed back to me with this stuff on it. You wouldn't see it, you wouldn't notice it. So my point is that you are coming in contact with this all the time. You can't just get rid of it and you'll never come in contact with it again. It's everywhere intentionally. You get a USB microscope, you will never look at the world again the same way. I had this photo in the beginning because I wanted to show you the resemblance between the fibers that I just showed you and chemwebs. These are chemwebs, the webs that fall from the sky that people collect. Now, they're not exact, but they seem definitely related. This is very, very similar to the clear stuff. So they're cousins or whatever, but this one behind it, if you look at that one behind it, that one does look like it. And it's sad that there's not a close-up of that because it's got the knuckles and the branches. The beauty about finding this specimen is that you can tell by looking at it that this structure is intentional. This is not a mistake. So this garbage that we are finding on our skin, in the environment, in your dust, everywhere, has been engineered. 100%. You look at it, this is what poked into me. It's perfect. It's like a fiberglass splinter. The end of it stuck into my skin, started to itch because this stuff was starting to take root and grow. And these spots are, you can't argue it. It's there intentionally. You can almost see like two little eyes. So somebody will mistake it for an insect. But it is not an insect. The last thing that I want to point out about this is that I had just made a video about them hiding nefarious technology in the medical industry. And they have that patent on, a drug delivery system through a bunch of tiny needles. Well, this stuck in my skin. So this could be easily used as a drug delivery system. So we need to think about that. So while I'm recording and I have 5 fucking minutes, let's talk about some audio. I decided to go through some YouTube videos, and I was checking out, 10 hours of rain sounds for deep sleep, and white noise for great sleep, and 8 hours of the sound of a fan so you can relax and get some sleep. And it's exactly what I thought it was. It is 10 hours, 8 hours of subliminal affirmations, suggestions, audio, blah, blah, blah. And what's funny is they say that this stuff works to quit smoking, to, better yourself, all that garbage out there that, you need to better yourself. And here it is in these sleep fucking videos that are out there. It's just mind-blowing to me. But I'll play a second for it, but there's a special part that I want to show you. Believe it or not, it's much clearer when your mind is probably hearing it on the affirmation audio. But here is a statement about sucking a dick. So let's check it out. It says, you suck a dick, you sucked a dick. That's what it says. And the whole thing is full of it. So we'll go through this. And that's another thing I want to talk about while we're here is audio experts. Got all these audio experts now that are popping up. Listen, I've heard stuff that some of these people have done. And I'm telling you that there is masking audio in all these sounds that masks the audio that you are supposed to hear with pretty much, junk. It's just junk to mask the audio. And what happens is these people will use noise reduction, these preset plugins with noise reduction on them, and they'll get rid of it and get rid of it and get rid of it. And then what they'll do is just take all that out, boost it up, and then what you get back from these people is the junk. You are not getting the V2K signal. The V2K signal that is out there sounds like one big run-on sentence. It's the pulses that people hear. So when you're listening to one of these, you have to go through it and then pick out what you're hearing within it. It takes work because when you get there, it's just a one run-on sentence. It never stops talking. So what I'm saying is as soon as they use noise reduction, they've destroyed the evidence, period. If somebody says they use noise reduction on it, run. Because what you have to do, this is like when you're unscrambling this audio, you are taking sonically the tumbler of a lock and turning those pieces until you get it right on a case-by-case basis. So you need, 12,000 to 20,000 hertz. You need the ELF section. You need the mid-range between that. And you have to turn and tweak all these and push them up to get the audio right so you can hear what is being sent to somebody. Otherwise, you are the hiss, what you consider hiss, what somebody, an audio expert considers hiss, is the evidence. That's why I tell people, even if you don't hear anything in the recording, it doesn't mean it's not there. Those are all pieces of the tumbler. And you have to turn that, and then turn the ELF, turn the mid-range, and then it will line up. Because that is how they are sending it out arrogantly and expecting not to get caught. So let's check this out for a minute. This actually came from 10 hours of of rain sounds for relaxing sleep, or whatever the hell they call it. Let's check it out for a minute. So you can see it's just a lot of talking, and there's some feedback squeaking that I haven't even taken out yet, but it's just constant talking. And then there's a female type, if you listen, there's like a female type hypnotist sounding, monotone and very hypnotist female, just going on and on and on in the background. I need to pull that out. But I want to show you this, that this is in these relaxing sleep videos. Whether the person that posted it intended to do it or not, I don't know. But this stuff is being used everywhere. In fact, that's what I wanted to make a video about, and I'm going to get it done in the next day or two. This is being used more than people even know. And it is being used in everything. And just like a doctor, if there are any doctors out there, I have studied this and studied this audio for so long, and the repercussions of this audio, when people are hit with this audio signal and they can't get away from it. I've studied this for so long that it is no different than when somebody comes to the doctor's office with poison ivy and you roll your eyes and go, yeah, you got poison oak, asshole. Or, athlete's foot, or something totally obvious. I have a series of red flags that I look for in these stories out there, and one goes up, and it seems to be either one or none, or all of them, and I know right away that this is a case of a person being attacked with this technology, and it is being used everywhere to drive people to run away and possibly put themselves in danger or kill themselves, to get people to go crazy and do things, to do things that most people couldn't even imagine. And it's being used on kids, and it's being used on adults, men and women, people of all different races, most races. It's being used to subvert the medical industry in many ways, the symptoms, the psychiatric industry, the symptoms. You had these articles years ago that all these people that are feeling the phantom vibrations, that's an effect of this signal being in the area. And they actually came up with the conspiracy theory, these psychologists, that you're so used to having your phone in your pocket that you feel these phantom vibrations, total cover. When you feel vibrations on your body that feels like a cell phone or a PS4 controller, a DualShock controller, or a cell phone going off, it is from this 100%. It has nothing to do with your mind being messed up. And that's, I've said this over and over, but their whole game is to make people think that you can't trust your mind, and we are weak and so open to suggestion that you can't trust yourself. You can make things up, hallucinate. This isn't even a lot of shows. People are always hallucinating things like entire events and whatnot, and it just doesn't happen unless it's induced. But anyway, it's being used to subvert just about everything, and they're using it on everybody. When your brain enters sleep, you can't escape it. If you've been falling asleep and you hear noises when you're just falling asleep, that's another thing that's been subverted, because that doesn't happen. And it didn't happen in the past. And that is absolutely a textbook example of this. If you are talking to people all night in your dreams, all night, that is from this. It's a chatterbot that goes on, and you can't escape it because your brain waves go down to 4 hertz, get closer to 4 hertz, and that's where it's rocking out at. And that is why when people are sleep deprived for days and days and days, or they haven't been allowed to hit REM sleep, they begin to hear this because their body is forcing those brain waves down, trying to get them to sleep. And they start to hear the stuff that usually people only hear in their sleep. So there's a reason why these targets are always kept awake for days before shit starts to go on. And then when they actually do sleep, they're not being allowed to hit REM. One more thing that I wanted to add is that if you're just, regular Joe, if you're anybody and you lay down at night and close your eyes or just look in the dark and you are seeing lights, shapes, anything but darkness, if you are seeing flashing, if you're seeing pictures of anything, like you're seeing faces or pictures or whatever, that is a side effect of this electromagnetic and ELF signal. It absolutely is, because you're not supposed to see that stuff. That is what the astronauts complained about when they were in space. They would see these lights and stars and things go through their eyes from the radiation. And that is what our planet is covered in now. If you see anything or hear anything or have any type of experience when you're drifting off to sleep, it is from this. 100%. And I'm going to try to get some other videos done as quick as I can, because I've got a lot to talk about, and I've got something big that I'm actually trying to keep myself from talking about it, but I have to. But it could put my it's heavy. It's really heavy. So I'll talk to you guys soon.